Now we've got that fork seal out of the way, it's a good time to inspect your upper fork bushing. Make sure it doesn't have any excessive wear on it. Everything looks real good on this one here. So we're going to clean everything up and then we'll reinstall our new fork seal. We're getting ready to install our new fork seal now, and you want to be sure that you don't get this seal in upside down. And the way you can generally tell the direction that the seal goes, if you look very carefully on the lip surface of the seal there, you'll see that there's two lips facing downward and one lip facing upward. And that's the proper way that that seal goes in. Those two lips keeps the oil pump down, and then the single lip on top kind of helps keep the dirt and things out of that seal. So be sure you don't put that in upside down. So now we're going to reinstall our washer, and we'll set the seal down in there. Now normally we would do the seal after we've already installed the fork tube, and we would use a regular seal driver to drive that on there. But since this video is intended for the do-it-yourselfer, we're going to act like we don't have access to a fork seal driver. So what we're going to use to drive that seal back down in there is we're actually going to use the old fork seal. So we're just going to set that right on top of it, and we're just going to kind of start it down in there. Just keep putting a little pressure on it. And that puts it down in there all the way. That's all there is to it. And we'll go ahead and reinstall our circlip that locks the seal in place. So now we're going to reassemble our forks. And what we'll start with is the fork tube. Take the damper rod, slide it in, wiggle it around until you get the damper rod to come through the bottom, just like that. Next will be the fork spring. Now if you notice, sometimes on your fork springs you'll have looser wound coils on one end and tighter wound on the other. The tighter wound springs always face upward. So we'll put the loose wound coils in first, followed by the washer, then our spacer collar. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start this cap on here until we get the fork completely assembled. Now we're going to have to remove this cap again to pour the oil in the fork, but having this spring in here is going to hold this damper assembly and keep it from wanting to turn so that we can reinstall our oil lock piece and our lower retaining bolt. So next we'll install the lock piece over the end of the damper. Then we'll slide the entire assembly into the lower fork tube till it bottoms out. Then all we got left is our retaining bolt. I'm going to go ahead and use my air gun to zap that down real good. There we have it. Now we'll take this cap back off and we'll add our fork oil. According to my handy dandy Honda spec manual, our front fork fluid capacity calls for 15.5 ounces. Just want to very carefully pour your fork oil in. Don't pour it there too fast so it gurgles out. All right. Then we'll reinstall our fork cap. Now you may have noticed that I left the little wiper seal off. And the reason why I do that is after I fully assemble the fork, I like to scope it up and down a few times and actually invert it, scope it up and down a few times. That way, if we have any leaks around the seal, you'll see it before you completely reassemble them and reinstall them on the bike. Alright, well, it looks like we don't have any leaks there, so now we'll go ahead and install our wiper. just slides over the end of the fork tube. And just press it down in place. There we have it. One rebuilt fork tube. All right, that's got our right fork leg done, so we're going to do the exact same procedure for the other side. Boy, that looking a lot better. All right, we got that left fork leg done. I even went ahead and put a new front fender on it too. Got looking pretty good here in the front end, so let's put this wheel back on. All right. Wheel there. You want to make sure that you got your axle spacer collar over here on the left side. Then on the right side we got our speedometer drive. Be sure that you don't let the lugs on the speedometer drive get on top of the little drive lugs on the wheel. Make sure that they mesh into each other all the way. Just kind of get it lined up in there. And take your axle, ease it in there. Now before you tighten that axle down all the way, make sure that your gearbox for your speedometer drive is right up against the little lug on the fork leg. That way it has the gearbox in the correct position. Alright, now once you get that axle tight, now you want to tighten down the axle clamp. Make sure that the arrow on the clamp is facing upward. Then we want to tighten the two top ones first. Go ahead and snug them down. Then we'll tighten these two bottom ones. And what that does is that pulls that clamp in on that axle, keeps it from turning. All right. Now we'll reattach the speedometer cable. And what I like to do to try to line that up is I put just a little pressure on it, and then I'll slowly turn that wheel. And what that does, that allows the drive in there to spin, and then it'll line itself up with the cable, and when it does, it'll go right in, just like that right there. And go ahead and start your screw in it. Snug it down. Our last piece to install is going to be the brake caliper. Last thing you want to do is get this wheel to spin. Work your brake a few times, make sure your brake's pumped up real good. There we go. Well, alrighty guys, that's going to wrap up this episode of D-Ray Shop. Well, I hope you got some useful information on how to service the front forks on your XL600R. And if so, drop me a couple of lines down in the comment section. Alright, well, as always, appreciate y'all watching. Y'all have a good one. See y'all next time around.